So firstly, a very, very good afternoon to everybody and a very warm welcome to our Business Spotlight interviews. My name's Ron Maycock and I'm the owner of Action Coach Castleford and Business Performance UK. I'm delighted to be joined today by Martin Dew, who is a Director of Auto Web Design. Very good afternoon to you, Martin.
Hi there, you're right.
Yeah, very good. So we'll be hearing a lot more from Martin in just a few moments. Before that, though, I just really wanted to explain what the purpose of these interviews actually is. We're surrounded by some amazing businesses in our region, and they've each got their own stories to tell. And these interviews help us share their journeys, showcase their achievements, and ultimately maximize their exposure, all in the name of abundance. And it's for the benefit of businesses right across the UK, and as we might hear a little bit later, potentially internationally as well. We're recording these in the UK and in the States and in Australia, so there is global appeal as well. But that's the purpose of it, and without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Martin. So Martin, tell me a little bit more about AutoWeb.
So AutoWeb, we are a digital marketing agency and software company in one. We service the automotive sector in the UK only at the moment. So our clients are a mix of car dealers and car manufacturers, as well as van dealers, other automotive businesses. In the main, it's dealerships and dealer groups. And what we do is we help them to develop websites that integrate with all the systems they need as part of being a car dealership. So things like managing where stock is sent in terms of adverts, things like finance applications, parts exchanges, and all the other types of systems that they use.
So it's almost in effect, it's almost like a digital concierge service for them, so that they can bring all these different footprints together and actually make them work as seamlessly to transact with the public as they can.
Yeah, exactly. When we started out, we've been going since 2004. We chose websites as our niche, really because there wasn't a good alternative out there. Car dealer websites seem to be just a list of cars. As that's grown and the size of our clients has grown and the client base has grown, there's been opportunities to expand that out. And today we're really, as I say, an automotive software company as well as a web design company. So we focus on that front end.
And are you working with the manufacturers as well, or is it just with the dealer networks that you're actually sort of liaising?
Well, with some manufacturers, we do provide national solutions. So things like vehicle locators, well, even full websites we do. I suppose sometimes we're working with the manufacturers as a client. Other times we're working in partnership with them on their network. And sometimes we're just talking to them because we have clients who are within their network and we have to cooperate in terms of, updating information, things like that. So,
and is your primary target audience based around the bigger network groups, or are you dealing with independents as well?
So we deal with both. I would say there's actually a third tier as well in that. So there's the regular independent, used car dealer type, a location, possibly two. Then there are smaller dealerships who have a brand above their door. So that might be a local Ford dealership, for example. And then there, as you mentioned, there's the groups, the larger groups. Some of those are quite big organizations. And some companies in our niche have taken the approach of just focusing on one, or potentially focusing on one, but then offering that service to a different segment of the market. And we haven't found that works, but we have specialists in all three. So we have different solutions, and we treat each as equally important, I suppose.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And what's your position day to day? What's your main involvement as a director within AutoWeb?
So my job title officially is Digital Solutions Director, which I think came about from some hybrid of strategist and business development, something like that. My background, I'm mathematician by training for university, etc. I've always worked in technical quantitative jobs, and so at AutoWeb, I'm involved in creation of digital strategies through numbers, really. But I guess I, like a lot of people, I suppose, found that people buy from experts rather than trained salespeople. I do actually have some sales training, to be honest. My dad made me undertake some when I was young. So I suppose I'm a client-facing aspect of AutoWeb, and I focus on new ideas for existing clients and helping with bringing in new clients as well.
Yeah, excellent. So in terms of some of those, if you like, the innovations, the changes and things like that, are there any that were maybe enforced through lockdown, which has changed the fundamentals of how you interact with your clients, that you're actually going, why didn't we do this sooner? It gave you a prompt, it gave you the nudge, but you've adopted it because it's actually really good practice. So
yeah, I mean, most definitely it's difficult now to think of everything, because some of the technologies, I mean, like this, that are just second nature now, maybe weren't. From our clients' point of view, selling cars online is something that we quickly pivoted to and accelerated during the COVID lockdown. That is still something that people talk about, but it's I guess a part of the whole car buying journey. So from I suppose a business operations perspective, we focused on developing that area during that time. It's now part of the roadmap. In terms of how we work, I still like face-to-face meetings. There's still a place for them. For me, it has been personally a benefit that more people are open to having video calls. We cover the whole of the UK, and I've never had a problem with driving down to Cornwall for one meeting from Yorkshire or Scotland, etc. It's par for the course. But to be able to save some time, if a meeting doesn't require physical face-to-face, then I think that's really good. More of our team now work hybrid. I think it's maybe too early to say what the benefits or negatives of that are, but I observe that it's become a somewhat of an expectation. In the past, we had our software developers were often working from home or hybrid working, and that was, I guess, a function of the type of work that they do, needing to get their heads down and have quiet, but also the fact that it's in that particular niche, you can't be overly selective about where you recruit from. So it enabled us to expand. For example, somebody in Manchester coming to Selby every day, not really ideal, but if you can access that market, great. Now, I would say a majority of employees do ask about it, if not do it. So it's just become an expectation, really.
Yeah, and I'm interested. I guess, have you seen this change from the client's perspective? Are they moving more towards sort of purchasing groups and where if they've got multiple sites or they're representing multiple individual retail dealers, I guess. That buying decision is sort of going to group level these days, which works very well with one meeting with one person who's going to make the decision, and then that's going to roll out to the nuances of all the different sites and everything. So you're finding that has changed at all?
In all honesty, I would say that with the dealer groups, that's been the case for a little while, that they tend to centralize certain functions. One thing that is a trend in the market is a bit of consolidation. So larger groups taking over some smaller groups, sites, etc. Be interesting to see what happens there with the manufacturers. Obviously, some of them selling directly now as well. But no, I guess the other dynamic, just in terms of what I've observed from the clients, is that a lot of their employees work from home, the office-based ones. So you kind of, when you're having meetings, they expect it to be done this way, I suppose. better than a phone call, I suppose. But yeah, it's just
It was
interesting.
interesting when it all happened, and I always remember someone turning around and saying, you know, hybrid working from home, or get people back to the office. And actually, it boiled down to improve your leadership and your management skills, because you're going to have to deal with both or all three. You can't. The world has changed, you know, and we have to change as well to adapt our business models to actually accommodate everything that's been forced on us. And as you say, some of it naturally you were probably progressing to anyway.
Yeah,
you know, it's forced our hands in certain areas. In others, you know, I'd still like to go old school and meet people. God forbid. Make sure that they've got, you know, something below shoulder height or so. Excellent. So in terms of the sort of challenges, I guess, within the industry generically, where's the biggest what are the biggest challenges, and where are your biggest threats coming from? Because it's quite a niche that you're in.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose because we operate only in automotive, there's a lot of positives to say about us there. We understand the systems and the kind of ecosystem really, really well, to a level that it would just take years for a generalist technology company to get to. With that said, we never rest on our laurels, and I guess we operate in tech, which is very, very dynamic and uncertain, because you have new startups popping up all the time. Automotive is very uncertain and dynamic. You know, we've had so many challenges just recently with new car supply. Obviously, COVID. Before that, it's electrification now, and then now electric used cars prices, the diesel aspects. So yeah, there's a lot going on. So in terms of pinpointing the exact challenges is hard. We sit in these leadership meetings at our company and try to think of every potential scenario and cover all bases. I guess it's difficult to pick just a few. Then I suppose consolidation to some degree could be a threat, because fewer clients to go after, potentially. Manufacturers moving away from a retail network has the same kind of effect, I suppose. I mean, no way saying these are negative things necessarily, by the way. I'm just saying that, you know, from a business perspective,
they just exist. Yeah.
And yes, I suppose those are probably the two main ones. And then a competitive landscape. You know, we have in software, there is always this backdrop of companies being bought by VC or private equity, and you wonder, well, what are they combining with here, and what kind of offering, which clients are they going to go target for what? So yeah, a lot.
Because sometimes that's driving the acquisition target, that they're going, this is a complementary technology to something else that we've got, but we need a little bit of market traction, and softly, I guess they're buying connections and contacts within an industry where they can then upscale and launch a new offering that's going to work in a complementary kind of way. But they're often looking at acquiring businesses just so that they can get an in.
Exactly.
You know, they're not that. There obviously are a lot of other investors and funds that are looking to help you grow.
Yeah.
Some have an ulterior motive that they're trying to launch the higher return, faster, rapid growth kind of thing, get in and out, and then move on to the next one. So yeah. So what's happening at the moment within AutoWeb? How are you meeting these challenges? What's happening in the immediate future for yourselves?
Well, I guess our decision to focus on different categories of clients or different solutions for each has been validated, because we don't know where the bigger need is going to be in the future, with all the uncertainty around who's doing what in terms of selling vehicles. I mentioned, I think, also about online retail. Another trend, or I suppose another way that we're setting ourselves up for future, is that along with these VCs and private equity type of groups that have come about as a consolidation of software companies, they sometimes they go to dealerships or automotive businesses with a full stack. Let's say, here's a turnkey end-to-end solution, start to finish. Our observation about software generally is that integrating with the best in class is our preferred way to go. And maybe this is because we're this hybrid of marketing agency. We will use our software where it's appropriate, but we're not going to just say to a client that what we built is going to solve the solution. We'd much rather be trusted advisors. So if I look at it this way, take for example, we use HubSpot as our CRM system. Mm-hmm. We use Sage as our accounting system. That's not a plug, by the way. They're both very well-known names. It's also Salesforce and CRM and lots of others. But all of these technologies now, they're kind of offering ecosystems, open APIs, so that clients can put the bits together to suit their need, but all of the different parts do their part really, really well. And I think that's where we want to focus, is in developing partnerships and being seen as a solutions provider, not just a one-stop, here's our software, take it or leave it.
Yeah. And are you finding, is that helping define you in terms of your unique offering? Is it the fact that you're not an automotive website builder and that's it?
Yeah, it's a difficult one to try to get across. I've definitely not perfected it. I think you've picked up on it there, so thank you. But yes, I mean, if you want an automotive website and you Google that, there are lots of ways that you can get that. I think there's a right solution for every dealership. For us, as I say, yeah, our point of difference is we're a partner, not a supplier. Mm-hmm. So an advisor who understands the technology in this area very, very deeply. And I suppose, having been in the market for a little while as well, we've over 35,000 vehicles running through our system every day. Mm-hmm. Over 500 websites actively running. So we do have that established nature to kind of demonstrate that, well, we ought to have the knowledge that we claim to have, as well as trying to demonstrate it. So, but in tech, I don't think it's a good look to say we've been around the longest, therefore we're the best. So that's certainly not what I'm saying.
And yeah, it's a dangerous thing, I guess, especially in tech, where you're going, yeah, look at our longevity, and they're going, that just means that you've not moved as quick as others.
Exactly.
Because it's changing,
exactly,
evolving all the time. So is a current application of what you're doing in terms of the lease and rental markets, or is it purely on the sale transactional side?
No, there's both, and again, in those sectors, we do have solutions with software that we've built. But as you can imagine, we work with a lot of groups who, perhaps the vehicle sales is the biggest part of what they do, or sometimes it's the servicing, and therefore that kind of becomes the key relationship. But then they have a very niche leasing or rental business. So we have partnerships with specialist software providers as well as what we do, because we go so deep in those currently. But and that seems to work really well.
So, and given that it's a digital offering, and you said at the start that at the moment you're UK orientated, where's the opportunity taking you? Well, if you could open up any other part of the world, where would that be first?
It's I have to be careful not to give too much away here. No, there's, I guess, if we were looking at markets, there's obviously you want to establish that there's a need. So places that are well known for having quite strong vehicle sales markets in terms of, you know, stock, places like Germany, US, very good. Obviously there's language to consider, but actually when you operate in a niche like ours where you're integrating with so many systems in these different countries, they have different systems. You know, obviously they don't have the DVLA to look up vehicle information, they have something else, they different car finance providers, etc. So I can't give you a definitive answer because I genuinely don't know it, but I know of some markets that,
it's interesting because it's sometimes easier to look at naturally the English speaking markets.
Mm-hmm.
I a few years ago was involved with from material side of things and the steel industry and things like that, but that was supplying into automotive, and as much as a lot of things centralized through Europe at some point. I mean, in terms of the supply chain, it could be going via South America, it could be out in China and India and then in Europe and then to the UK and then back to Europe. And these are big groups that perhaps the hubs tend to be around Germany, ultimately who's producing the cars and who owns those groups. So there are some natural hubs in Europe, I guess. As you say, they do present different challenges because there are languages involved, and especially when you're trying to make it a platform. So it might be the way that you go, that you go, market dictates, it's worth having everything translated into a different language, and then we'll just figure out, because chances are it probably will still work with Sage or Salesforce or whatever. I mean, these are big enough organizations that it's
not a new problem. But I'm always interested by the USA kind of conversation, because I've known businesses that have moved over there in kind of digital marketing type of environments and others, and it's it's a big market opportunity, but covering the whole of the US is it's very tough. I mean,
the analogy I often refer to is in lockdown, and all of a sudden everyone, have Zoom, can travel, and the amount of businesses that we spoke to and just went, we're going to hit London, we're going to hit that market because now we can. And then you point out how many opportunities are you missing within 5 or 10 miles of where you're based. Get your ducks in a row. Get your own house ship shape and deal with what you're good at locally, and then worry about competing with someone that you're now trying to open up a market with geographically 200 miles away or something like that, where you're going, and I don't know anyone there. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So it's all influences the decisions that we make to move forward. So there's obviously plenty of things happening in the market. As you say, there's some fundamental changes within the market. We were talking offline about how certain manufacturers are taking dealers out of the loop now, and they're selling direct to consumers. And depending on how that concept is proven, then it'll probably determine if the other manufacturers go down the same route. There's obviously some environmental and sustainability and various different laws in terms of what stock will get rotated around and what will be taken off the road. But it'll not be without its challenges, but with the challenges will come a lot of opportunity. If you have those conversations with the right people, it's going to point you in the right direction. So it's bringing us towards the end of the interview. So Martin, is there anything that we've not covered that you suddenly go, I would love to get that across, but we haven't really covered it? Or have we put
it's just one thing that sprung to mind is we quite a long time ago created a website called autoweb.co.uk, which was at the time a kind of advertising platform for used cars. And it's interesting because it kind of sat there and stagnated a bit. It's not our core business. And of course, talking about integrating with the best solution providers, we have a lot of key partners who offer great advertising platforms. We recently decided to relaunch it as a kind of innovation hub a little bit. So basically, because we're so dynamic in this industry, we often have clients wanting to test out new things, but if they've never been done before, it can be a bit high risk. So we're using that website to test out new technologies and approaches as well, which is nice for our team as well to have somewhere that they can try out new things without impacting on a client. So
it's always difficult when it's a live site, isn't it? So live is a very active industry and changing market, and actually everything that you do in a digital footprint kind of world, it either works or it doesn't. It's got to be tested somewhere, and the danger is you stifle innovation. Doing that sounds like a great way of giving a safety net of for where people can just throw any idea and then go, can we make it work?
Yeah, I mean, it gets people looking at it, and it does generate leads as well. But it's not there's a lot going on in that space at the moment. We're focused on our niche, but it's nice to have.
Yeah, no, it sounds it, and it, it's clearly a part close to your heart, because it got you smiling as well when you were talking about it. It was like, oh yeah, excellent. So brilliant. Well, that does bring us to the end. So just really like to thank Martin for joining us and sharing your journey and your story from AutoWeb today. Really have enjoyed you coming along. Been fascinating learning about the market and what's happening and what might be around the corner, and where that opportunity may take you in terms of the digital footprint and what might happen for the immediate future. So thank you again for Martin. If you're watching this and going, yeah, I'd love to share my business journey, I'd love to increase a little bit of exposure and get a little bit more brand awareness of what you're actually doing, just simply get in touch. We're doing these interviews with businesses across Yorkshire, and it's always a pleasure to be able to highlight what's going on in our amazing economy and what's actually happening with some of the businesses that are contributing to it. So thank you to everyone for watching. Thank you again to Martin. It's been another of our Business Spotlight interviews, and we shall see you soon. Take care.